President Trump facing some growing backlash this morning after floating a plan for the U.S. to take over the Gaza Strip.
In a news conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the president proposed redeveloping that territory and keeping it under U.S. control. He suggested placing more than 2 million Palestinians who live in Gaza and just taking it over.
That as protests grow here at home over moves to close government agencies and cut the federal workforce. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
President Trump rolling out a stunning plan to take ownership of the Gaza Strip.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it.
In a White House press conference with Israel's prime minister, the president proposing the U.S. redevelop the war-torn enclave.
The Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so this could be so magnificent.
He said Palestinians would have to leave the sovereign territory during reconstruction, taken in by countries like Egypt and Jordan, who oppose that idea, and many Gazans do not want to leave. President Trump also did not rule out deploying U.S. troops to Gaza.
If it's necessary, we'll do that.
Lawmakers in both parties pushing back.
We'll see what the Arab world says, but, you know, that'd be problematic at many, many levels.
That's insane. I can't think of a place on earth that would welcome American troops less and where any positive outcome is less likely.
Adding to the humanitarian challenge, the U.S. Agency for International Development announcing overnight almost all direct hires will be placed on administrative leave this week, following Trump administration moves upending the organization and stalling critical shipments of food and medicine around the world.
There are lives at risk.
Kayla Nickel contracts with USAID on global democracy projects. She's had to furlough all her employees and fears U.S. disengagement from volatile zones will harm national security.
We know exactly who steps in, and we've created a vacuum that is not in the American interest.
Pressing questions as President Trump remakes U.S. foreign policy. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Meanwhile, the CIA is now the latest federal agency offering buyouts to its workers. That's according to a spokesperson.
That as a group of unnamed FBI agents has filed suit against the Justice Department. They say they're trying to prevent the unlawful firings of employees who investigated January 6th cases. They're trying to stop that.
And more from the White House now. President Trump is preparing an executive order to eliminate the Department of Education. That's according to two sources for NBC News. One source says the order could come as soon as this month, while another source says the order will say that the White House will oversee the submission of proposed legislation to Congress to execute the closure of that department. In reaction to the possible elimination of the Department of Ed, Idaho Superintendent of Public Instruction Debbie Critchfield told KTVB in a statement in part, quote, "The more control that states have over K through 12 public education, the better off students in those states will be. I welcome any steps that will give Idahoans more control over Idaho schools," end quote. Her office tells us that Idaho gets just under 10% from the federal government in K through 12 funding. You can read the full response from Critchfield on KTVB.com.
President Trump said yesterday that he's left instructions to his advisors to obliterate Iran if he's assassinated by the country. Federal authorities have been tracking threats against Trump and other administration officials from Iran for years now. A threat on Trump's life from Iran prompted additional security before the July campaign rally in Pennsylvania, where Trump was shot in the ear. Officials said at the time they did not believe that attempt was connected to Iran. Back in November, the Justice Department announced that an Iranian plot to kill Trump before the election had been thwarted.
President Donald Trump says he will go to the Super Bowl this Sunday. Big game is between the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Chiefs, and the Philadelphia Eagles. The NFL released a statement saying that they would remove the words "end racism" from the end zone at the Caesars Superdome there in New Orleans for the big game. The NFL said Tuesday it would only have stenciling of the phrases "choose love" and "it takes all of us." NFL spokesman Brian McCarthy said the decision came amid the recent tragedies that have occurred in the U.S. since the start of 2025. Sunday's game will be the first Super Bowl since 2021 at which "end racism" will not be in the end zone. The NFL's move to remove it for the Super Bowl came as NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell was actually defending the league's diversity, equity, and inclusion policies.